I won't be able to. Well, I guess I can look at Hattie's Facebook page and see if it's live on Hattie's Facebook page.
I'll go. I'll go see.
Okay, thank
Hi
you.
everyone joining. We'll start in not too long. We're just waiting for Eve to put everything onto social media for you to follow us live.
Yep.
Yeah, it is live on Hattie's Facebook, so it's all good.
Perfect. And I can see that we're live. I'll just check Twitter and
Twitter
YouTube
too.
really quickly. And we should be good to go.
Good to go.
I'm ready if you are. I know
am,
it's
I
been
am.
a
Let's
long
go.
weekend. There was a lot of soccer this weekend.
I know, but it started so slow the week. But when everything picked up, I was like, "Ooh, okay, we'll have a lot to talk about," because it didn't start that way.
No. And I know for you and I, especially PL fans, like, today was a good day.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah. So we are good to go. Alrighty, we are indeed live, up and running. So I'm gonna do the 30-second countdown, and then you'll intro us now.
Sure.
It'll just be a second.
Hello, my friends. My name is Samuel Sevi, and this week on the show, Montreal down, but certainly not out coming into the second leg of our Champions League quarterfinal. Fifth all-time MLS goal scorer Kai Kamara finally will call Montreal home. And so far so good in England for the women national team who lead the Arnold Clark Cup through 2 games. This and a lot more on episode 69 of The Ball is Round. And I'm very happy to be joined by Yves Paul and special guest from Los Guerreros, Mas Santos podcast, David. How are you, man?
Good. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I need to apologize in advance. My English is not perfect, but hopefully we can have a decent conversation.
Man,
don't worry at all.
We're so happy you're here, and because listen, we love having guests on our shows from around the United States and Canada when we do have games against them. But we're really happy to have found someone from Mexico for our showdown
I'm
against
from Mexico,
Santos. So it's great.
But I actually don't live in Mexico. I live in Houston, Texas. Okay, so yeah, I live in Houston. It's not a requirement to speak English in here. If you call a school or if you call a business, you will always hear press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. So there's no really. It's not mandatory, but still, we need to learn. Whenever you move to a different country, you need to learn the language, of course.
Well, man, everyone's gonna understand you. It's perfect, so there's no worries.
Yeah, don't worry at all. One little bit.
Eve,
we do have a hello. Yeah, I'm ready if you are. We have a hello there from our friend Chan. Lozano, Santos, Laguna. So friend of the pod. He's happy to see you too. Alrighty, with that being said, Sam.
Yeah, so I think we'll start the interview. What we will do, we'll go right into the interview with David. We'll give a review, mostly their perspective, Santos Laguna, of what happened on Tuesday. We'll give a little preview with David. Then we'll go through even our perspective from Montreal. So we'll start off right away with David. David, what was your initial reaction knowing that you guys were matched against us in the first round of the Champions League when the draw happened?
Well, it's very interesting, to play against Montreal again. We all remember the 2009 game. But I was surprised that, the team from Montreal, but the name is different. You guys are not
Yes.
anymore. So that surprised me. I mean, what happened to the Impact? I like that name.
So that's a story that could take a whole season of the podcast. Yes, the name was changed last year. The organization basically decided to change the name because they wanted a different image for the club, and they thought that they'd reach more fans if they changed the name to CF Montreal instead of Impact.
Yeah.
But yes. Well, I'm really sorry for you though, because obviously, unfortunately, it stuck out to you.
Right. But of course, we remember that game from 2009, and yeah, whenever we talk about the CONCACAF Champions League, we in Torreon in Mexico, we remember that game. It was like a miracle for us. And for you, I don't know, like a nightmare. I can say that.
Likely said.
It haunts Montrealers to this day. Like, yeah, I actually didn't live in Montreal at the time. I didn't even know the Impact existed at the time. But when this draw happened, I knew how important it was, knowing that Santos Laguna was the opponent because of how much people still talk about it.
Yeah. And in the build up to the game, the more old school fans that really lived that moment, that's the only thing we would talk about. And even the newer fans really were put into the emotions of what happened. So everyone in Montreal knows that fateful night in Mexico, what happened. But that's why we were so excited to be drawn against you, because we had the feeling that we could finally, erase a bit of that history.
Okay.
But David, I would like to know, general opinion of the Santos Laguna fans towards Montreal. Is it positive? Is it negative? Do fans really have an opinion on us in general?
It's really hard because we have like a little, like the MLS against the Liga MX. It's a rivalry between these teams, and the Montreal is too far from Mexico. I mean, we don't really follow those teams. Well, Toronto has been like a constant team against Liga MX, teams, and also I think a player from Mexico, Tigres, just went to Toronto. His name is Salcedo, Carlos Salcedo. And they also got another player from Toronto. It's a little guy. He's from Venezuela.
Jefferson Soteldo.
Yes. Soteldo. So yeah, I mean, we receive news, of course. We receive news from the MLS, but not so many from Montreal. I know because I live here in Houston. That Romel Kyoto is playing with you guys. And I do remember, him playing here in Houston, and he's a good player. He's a very good player. He's the one that scored the goal. Well, let's say he's the one that scored, But but yeah, I mean, we don't receive a lot of news. Only from different teams. Only from 1 or 2 or 3 teams.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you talk about that goal because it segues perfectly into our next question. What did you make of the VAR call disallowing the opening goal? And let's say, how do you feel that the VAR has been used so far in the Champions League?
Well, not only on this tournament, on Liga MX, the VAR is terrible. I mean, it's terrible. Like, I remember like 10 years ago, I wish that this happened, like, okay, the referee will stop the game. He will look at the image, at the repetition of the play, and he will make the correct decision. But that is not the case every time. So I'm pretty disappointed of the VAR. In this occasion, in this specifically moment, I believe that it was a right call. But I'm always towards the goal, because the goal is like what we want. It's like what the fans want, always the goal. So I was kind of disappointed that he invalidated that goal, because I wanted to see Santos Laguna in like discomfort, like losing 1-0. Okay, what are you going to do next? I wanted to see Santos Laguna like that, but Anyway, I think it was a right call.
In my perspective, in hindsight, I think it was the right call too, and I don't think it was a bad use of VAR because it was linked with the play, right? It wasn't a foul that happened 30 seconds, 40 seconds before. It was about 10 to 15 seconds, and this is what caused the counterattack because Lapalainen fouled your player. But what I found a bit difficult on that play is that, the referee probably had a better perspective of the foul in live than when he went back to VAR to watch it. So, I said he was so close to the action. His view was right on the play. There wasn't anything interrupting his view. He decided it wasn't a foul, then he goes back. But once VAR gets involved and he has to go to the monitor, I think it was the right decision. I don't know, Eve, what you think, but...
Well, I think there was a lot of questionable officiating in that match on Tuesday.
Yes.
I learned that the offside flag has a lot more uses than what I thought. I learned that we can be offside on back passes from a defender to a goalkeeper. That was new. But I don't think it was, the type of foul where if it hadn't resulted in a goal, we'd be considering it a crime. I think it was... I think the ref did set kind of a relatively low bar for the physicality in the game. I think he was willing to make a lot of calls. So I can understand why. I struggle to imagine, knowing Lassi Lapalainen, that he's a player who can commit a hardy tackle. So it's kind of ironic to me. But yeah, at the end of the day, rewatching it probably 3 or 4 times, I could understand why VAR felt the need to get involved, even though the ref was really close to the original action. Yeah.
David, what did you think of both teams' performances? Let's say Montreal, and after I'd like you to hear you a bit on your team's performance.
Well, I was surprised with the Montreal, physique shape. The shape of the Montreal. They play all the game along. I mean, they were running all the game. So I was surprised that it's a tough team. I can say that it's a very tough team, and it's a team that I can see that they want to win. That is not like any ordinary game. I can see that they want to win. And Santos Laguna is like that also. I mean, we fans, we want the team to win this title. We were so close 2 times. We lost the final 2 times against the same team, Monterrey. And I know that you guys also lost a title, right? Against who? Toronto?
Club of America.
America.
Yeah, America. So yeah, we know both how it feels, to lose this title. But I can see that the Montreal wants to win this leg, and also that makes me excited that I want to see my team Santos also play against this good team.
Nice.
Okay.
And for a Montreal fan who doesn't follow Liga MX, how typical of your team's current form was Tuesday's performance?
The form, well, all the starter players, they play this game, like all of them. Like the how do you say, like the coach. He didn't save anything in the bench. So it was like a typical form, form of game for Santos. And I know that the whole team, the president, the coach, even the players, they want to do a good tournament, for all the fans.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that you said he didn't leave anything on the bench, because I thought Santos Laguna played better once their substitutions started being made. And perhaps it was just a fresh legs factor. I don't know what you think, but I thought as the match wore on and a couple of the players who came off the bench, I thought they were big catalysts towards Santos Laguna's domination in the second half.
Yeah, here's the thing. The coach, Pedro Caixinha, he's from Portugal. He's new. Like, he coached the team before, from 2013 to 2015, something like that. And and actually he's the coach with the most championships in the history of the club. I mean, he won the Liga MX, he won the Copa MX, and also he won like the Champions of the Champions. So he won 3 titles in just 3 years, and he know the place, he knows the city. Maybe he doesn't know all the players, but he knows what they need to do in the team. We need to win. That's the first number. That's the number one rule. And he's trying. I think he's trying with a lot of players. He's making experiments, like you said. Maybe the substitution is gonna perform better than the other player, but he still doesn't have a starter 11. He's still making decisions on the goal, and I think that's hurting Santos Laguna, because those experiments, doing those experiments in games, I mean, it's not always good.
Yeah, no, and especially in these games, like in league play, where there's another game to make up for it. There's 2 legs, and you lose. But I mean, it was Osejo who had come on, right? About not very long before he scored the goal, and it was kind of like a fluke of a header, because of course Colin Miller got kind of done by the player to make the cross, and then it kind of rebounded off the defender Joel Waterman. But I thought he was effective, and I was surprised as well. I thought we'd see more from Brian Lozano than we did as well in the match, because there's been a lot of talk of him, and I know he's a really quality player, but he seemed to have a quiet night.
Yeah, he just came back from injury.
Okay.
And he has not been the same Brian Lozano, like the guy that we knew. He's struggling with his game. So that's why you don't see like a monster, with Brian Lozano. I think he's struggling, and even the fans, are going against him. They're doing they send him messages on Twitter saying, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you not playing? Why are you not giving your best?" Because he's not the same Brian Lozano as we knew, I don't know, 2 years ago, because he had that injury that almost he ended his career, because of that. Yeah. So that's why he was very quiet on this game.
Okay, no, that's done. Thank you for explaining that, because I didn't have that insight, and I expected a lot more, and then I was kind of disappointed. But unfortunately, it sounds like there's obviously bigger factors. It wasn't just like an off day at the office for him.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned for sure, that you were surprised that Montreal seemed as up for it as they were, especially because this was Montreal's first competitive match of the year. They hadn't played since November. But tactically, was there anything that surprised you from the team?
No, not surprised. I know that, like I said, I mean, I can see a team that wants to win, and tactically, I can say that it was a pretty good game from the coach. What is the name of the coach?
Wilfred Nancy.
Okay, where is he from?
He is originally French, but he's lived in Montreal for quite a long time. He's been with the Impact as the old organization for coming up on 10 years.
Sorry.
Go for it.
But he has a really, really interesting story. He started coaching almost at grassroots level, and he went up the ranks. He had like regional teams, then provincial teams. He coached Team Quebec in the minors, which is our province in Canada. Then he got with the Impact Academy with the kids, and this guy went every step of the ladder. He made it. So it's a fantastic story for young coaches, and it's a great model for coaches in Quebec.
I mentioned the coach because I can see that he was very intense. He was very intense with every play in the game. And that was interesting. That was interesting to see, because I can see that he really feels, the colors of the team.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of looking forward, I guess, a little bit to Tuesday's match. This second leg is going to be played at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Olympic Stadium is a very, very old building. And it honestly, very few players like the surface. There might even be quotes from 2009 where the Santos Laguna players of the time were hating on it because it was just as bad in 2009 as it is today. Especially because some of your top players are returning from injury. It's a really difficult turf surface. It's on concrete. Do you have any concerns for Santos Laguna when it comes to that?
Probably, but that's a problem for the coach, not for the fans. I hope that they can perform well. They are professional players. They need to perform well on every surface, on every official surface. It's not like they're going to play, on the streets or something like that. But I really think that I wish, I want this team, to have a good game on Tuesday, and that's not an excuse for them. And I hope the coach doesn't consider that as an excuse to perform, badly on this game.
No.
So no worries about it.
No, I understand. So as well, looking forward to Tuesday's match, in researching the team, we realized, Santos Laguna had a really great apertura in 2021. They finished in fifth, which is a good position.
It is.
In Liga. Yeah. However, the Clausura has not started very well. They are currently 18th in the league. What's the explanation for this huge gap in performance quality and I'm kind of stymied. What's the explanation?
Well, first of all, I'm very embarrassed, to say that we are 18. That's not typical for Santos.
No, exactly.
No. So the only explanation, we don't have an explanation for that. The only thing is that we switch coaches. This coach is new. The coach that we have, he was the coach of Santos Laguna for almost three years. Yeah, almost 3 years. And he was from Uruguay. He was the coach of Barcelona, not Barcelona from Spain, Barcelona from Ecuador. But they all loved him. The Barcelona from Ecuador, they still miss that coach. His name is Almada. And now we are like that. We still miss him. We still miss Almada because he was a great coach, and he made this team play really well with not players of, how can I say, with really famous players.
Right.
He made a great team with whatever they have in their academy, on the soft academy. So we still miss him, and Santos Laguna is facing like a transition of games, different games, different formations and everything. The players, are still learning the ways of the new coach, and so I believe that's the cause that Santos Laguna is not doing well. But I really think that we have a great team. We have a team that can compete on any league. And hopefully we can start winning again.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like when I look at the Santos Laguna squad, there's a ton of talent in there. There's Acevedo, who's a great goalkeeper, who has beautiful hair. He has, yeah, exactly. Like your team seems to have really good spinal column for sure. But anyway, is it just that Almada had gotten poached? Because I know he's coaching Pachuca now. Is it that's all? They just scooped him up. The former coach, sorry.
Yeah. What about him?
The reason that he left is it just?
Oh, the reason that he left, I don't know. Something happened between the president, the whole organization and him. Like the president said that they didn't have the same vision as well, so that's why they decided to part ways. Just because of that. But I really think that the team was very, how can I say it? Like they didn't help Almada all the way by bringing really good players, like Osejo. Osejo. You mentioned Osejo, right? And you said he was very effective. Well, yeah, he scored a goal, but that's his third goal in like a year and a half. That's a very poor performance of forward. So in all the time that Mada was the coach, we always ask for a great forward. Bring us a great forward that can score too many goals. And the club didn't bring him. Like, he only played what Almada only had the players that, from the academy, very young players. And he made them play very well, but not to be on the top position. We lost the final on 2020 against Cruz Azul. Actually, right. I went there and I went to Mexico City, and we lost that final, and it still hurts because we know that we should win that game, but we didn't because we didn't have great forwards. That was a problem for us.
I see.
And it still is.
You know what? It's a similar struggle here in Montreal. Montreal used to have Didier Drogba as a forward. And ever since him, unfortunately, we haven't had a forward who scored more than 10 goals in a year. And he left the team in 2016. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. But speaking of, I know you kind of sort of might have answered your own question, but which Santos Laguna player do you think might be due for a breakout night on Tuesday? Who should Montreal fans watch out for?
Well, this new player, that he is from Colombia. He just got in Torreon in Mexico, like, I would say 3 weeks ago, something like that. He actually played, against Montreal, the first leg. His name is Harold Preciado.
Right.
Preciado.
Yes.
He's number 15. And I really think he's a good player. He's a good forward. He already scored in Liga, but the next 2 games, he couldn't score. But I think he's a great player, a great one to watch. And also another one, I would say, Leo Suarez. Suarez. He's another player. He's from Argentina. And he has been doing very well whenever he gets on the field. Leo Suarez and Harold Preciado, I would say.
Okay. All right.
And David, if you could choose one CF Montreal player and put him in your squad as soon as right now, who would you choose?
I think one of the defense.
Nobody ever picks our defenders.
Kamal Miller, Joel Waterman, Gabriella Corbo.
Just bring it to the team.
Okay, that would be Kamal Miller who played. I think he would probably be our best central defender.
Yeah, he had a great game. And also, Santos Laguna shot, to the goalie like 27 times.
Yeah.
Or more than that, and it was only 1-0. So it's a good defense. It's a good defense overall.
Okay, thank you.
And now it's time. I need your predictions for the game.
Predictions for the game.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Totally.
I'll give mine. So yeah, I'm sure.
No. I think just because Montreal is not, playing on the tournament yet, he's still on. They're still in preseason, right? I would say that Santos Laguna is going to either a tie 0-0 or 1-0 again.
Okay. Do you think they're going to try to play for a 0-0 tie?
Maybe. Maybe Santos Laguna is going to try to secure that 0-0. But I think Santos is going to win 1-0.
Yeah. Okay.
Eve, do you echo David's prediction?
You know how I'm the resident pessimist on the podcast. I like to predict a bad result. And hey, Montreal didn't make the playoffs, so I'm usually right. I'm gonna say a 0-0 draw.
0-0 draw. Yeah.
Which would be 1-0 on aggregate, obviously.
Wow. I think we're gonna win 1-0, and it's gonna be decided on penalties.
Okay.
Penalties is a flip of the coin, man. So I'll say Montreal, but when you're in penalties, when anything can happen. So, but I think we're gonna win them at the Olympic Stadium. Yeah,
I like that result because.
Yeah, because we it wasn't our strongest squad we put in Mexico. Rudy Camacho wasn't fit. He's definitely gonna play on Tuesday. Probably Alistair Johnston is gonna be available, so he's gonna take Gabriella Corbo's place. Maybe Sam Piet is gonna be there, so we're gonna have a stronger squad. But now a lot of players out of season, so it's gonna be tough. But I think we're gonna pull off the win. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I like the penalties because it's too emotion. It's too.
That's why we love the sport, man.
I can't watch penalties. Last year, David, just to let you know, Montreal actually did a penalty shootout, and it went down to the keeper taking a penalty.
Wow. Yeah.
And he scored it. So I will favor Montreal if it goes to penalties.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, man, it was so interesting, so cool to have you here. Thank you very, very much, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. And this is the first time that I actually talk with Canadians, and it's really cool. It's really nice. And also, well, I have my own podcast.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Tell us all about it.
Can you? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I created that podcast on 2020. Right after the pandemic. So I was very bored in my house, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna make a podcast about my favorite team, Santos Laguna. And the name, you can find my podcast at Twitter or Facebook. Just look for Los Guerreros Más Santos or podcast_Santos. It's really easy on Twitter. Podcast_Santos.
At the ball is run, we're following your podcast. So if someone is looking for you and struggling to find, just go in our following, and you'll find it. So no worries.
And we'll be sure to tag David, you as well.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
All right.
And as our friend Chen says, gracias.
Gracias, David, man.
Gracias, thank you, and hopefully we can see a great game, on Tuesday, and whoever is the best, I wish they can win.
Yeah, same. I just hope it's gonna be a really good game, entertaining game, and the best team wins. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care.
Nice to meet you guys. Have a good one.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alrighty.
And Eve, there's something about our pod that I love, man. The quality of our guests. We're so lucky to have these
spoiled.
guests.
Oh my god,
really
I can't even. We're incredibly lucky to make the friends that we make on this podcast. Yeah.
I mean, David. It was really, really interesting. Eve, we didn't talk much with David about Montreal's perspective of that game in Mexico, so I guess we'll jump right in. I'll go more individually with the players, I guess, So if we'll just roll it back and give the lineup when we started the game, Wilfried Nancy went with Sebastian Breza in net. He went with Mathieu Chouanière at right wing back, Gabriella Corbo, Joel Waterman, Kamal Miller in defense, and Lassi Lapalainen at left wing back. Yeah, we'll talk about that. In midfield, we had Victor Wanyama, Rida Zouir, and Georgi Mihailovic, and up front we had Romel Kyoto and Joaquin Torres. There's a lot to unpack here, really. Breza starts, Lassi at left wing back, Corbo's first ever start, Waterman at the center of the defense, Zouir who gets the start. Where do you want to start, Eve?
Okay, so I think Breza starting in the net was a really surprising call for me. Yeah, obviously, I think we had talked about it. We kind of felt like it should be James Pantemis because he should be the future of the club. So the fact that it was Breza made me a little bit curious about Pantemis's future at the club, because I mean, maybe we'll see in league play, but yeah, I was really surprised by that choice.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I mean, Listen, Wilfred Nancy wants to win, right? So his mandate as a coach is to make the team win. Really, that's what he's there for. So if he's got the keys of the club, 100%, he takes the decisions, and he thinks that Sebastian Breza gives him a better chance to win than James Pantemis. You do you, Wilfred. That's he's with the club. He's following them. He's training them all week. But yeah, it really, really looked a bit dire for Pantemis when Breza got the start for me.
Yeah, like it's one match, so I'm not going to write anything off. We don't know, somebody might have been carrying a knock or whatnot. So I'm not going to write anything off after one match. But obviously something, in training camp that Breza must have brought something that Pantemis didn't, in order, I would assume. Yeah. Because we didn't hear about any injuries or anything like that.
No. And, Pantemis did exactly what he had to do to get the first, the number one job. He refused the call-up by John Hartman to concentrate for the camp in Montreal. He did everything right. He was saying the right stuff in the media. But, I mean, since that, I just have the feeling since that game in Toronto where he kind of threw his players under the bus with the wall incident and stuff. I'm wondering if maybe he did, Wilfred Nancy has him a bit in his bad side since that. I don't know. There's
that would
maybe
be kind of harsh.
Of course it is. Yeah, players talking under the emotion of a game, with microphones in their face, like under an hour after a game when you're still hot, you still have all the adrenaline and the emotions of the game running. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a performance thing in which Nancy thinks that Breza is a better goalkeeper than James Pantemis. It can be as simple as that too. I don't know. We'll kind of see, but I'm pretty sure that Breza will get the start on Tuesday because he wasn't.
He had a phenomenal game. Yeah, he did.
He was amazing.
He did.
So
he did.
And what do you think of Gabriella Corbo's first ever start for the club?
Honestly, it was better than I expected. Because I really expected nothing. There were definitely I had some concerns about his distribution. I wasn't a big fan of his passing range. But I thought overall, when it came to anticipation and his interceptions, I thought they were fairly on point. He played a higher quality than I expected. So
yeah, I think Gabriella Corbo, as on the defensive side of the ball, did very well. His instincts, his flair as a defender are obviously there. He's very physical. He has a good movement to himself. And there's one thing is that, with that system that Wilfred Nancy tends to play, there's a lot of patterns, right? So, and it goes a lot with the passing game. So when we're trying to get the ball out from the back, the center backs are extremely involved. And when that happens, if you're not really used to it, maybe you're just a second late or you're hesitating a bit because you're not sure where your player is going to be. And you didn't see that same hesitation from Joel Waterman or Kamal Miller, who had a bit of an off night, but still, I think it's just a question of feeling the system. And because I do think that Montreal play in a very system-based type of play. There's less how could I say it, there's not a lot of place for imagination when you're a defender under the ball. The patterns are there, the movements are prepared, and maybe he wasn't just 100% acquainted to it yet, but it's definitely coming. I liked his game. I really liked his game. I think for a young defender, he did very, very well.
Yeah, especially because really that's like kind of, I mean, that's his first pro game in a very long time.
Yeah, of course. And for him, probably his first game in professional in a long time. You're right. In Central America, in these conditions, in a quarterfinal of a Champions League, it's all new for him. So it's a daunting task for a young player who's on loan, and his career has just started. So it's not easy, but I think all in all, he did pretty well. Yeah. So I did see criticism on internet. Some people didn't really like his game, but it's a bit harsh to go in the guy when it's his first game. Eve, Lassie at left wing back. What's up with that?
Oh my god! Like, oh my god! You know, our friend of the pod Chan made a joke about it last week, and I think we all were kind of like, oh no, groan, right? And lo and behold, like, what has I guess it's my question is kind of twofold. What has Zoran Basong done or not done that Lassie Lappalainen is starting over him in this position? And conversely, if Zoran Basong is doing something or not doing something, what is Zachary Broguillard doing or not doing that Mathieu Choignard is starting over him? Yeah, because Mathieu Choignard has, of course, stepped in on the left. So, oh my god, I don't know what to do because it was dire.
Oh yeah, no. It's an experiment that. You tried it last year. It didn't work at all, right?
No. Oh my gosh. When
I saw the lineup, I almost thought, are we in a 4-4-2 with Lassie on the left wing?
Same. I was trying to count and I was like, but there's too many defenders.
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe Kamal Miller is playing at left back, gonna play in like inside. Role very close to the center backs to help out. Are we? No, it was our same old system, but with Lassie at left wing back, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. No. I would be very surprised if Lassie gets a start on Tuesday.
Likewise, but I would have been surprised if he had gotten the start at left wing back on Tuesday past. So I don't know what to say anymore.
Me neither. But. We know that Wilfred Nancy always has a surprise up his sleeve, but I thought the surprise would be Zouir. He did well, Zouir, in my opinion, but Lassie, I just don't get it. I know it's not a pure defender role that they're asked to play. Even Mathieu Choignard, when he's on that right hand side, we can't really count them as defenders. We say left wing back, but they're hybrids between midfielders and defenders, but they're asked to defend very deep in certain positions. So that's not helping these players who don't have a
defensive bone in their body.
Exactly. So, and going forward, I didn't find that Lassie had the usual pace that he has. He wasn't able to beat a player with his speed and get into these spaces that he likes to get. So, all in all, I think it was a mistake by Wilfred Nancy, pure and simple, to start Lassie in that position.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So let's say moving up to midfield. How did you like the performance of our three midfielders, Georgie, Victor, and Rida?
I thought Victor Wanyama was really, really strong in
fantastic.
I thought that was a very strong match from him, especially because he did have a very inexperienced player next to him in Rida Zouhir. Yes. When it comes to Rida Zouhir, I think he did start off a little bit chaotically. I thought some of his passing was naive, lackadaisical. It was just silly, like very kind of passing 101 where it would create a turnover for the opposition. And, as the game wore on, it got a little bit better. And of course he did have a couple of shots even in the match, so power to him for trying his luck there. But obviously, I mean, he's not an experienced player. And I think at some points on the night, it did show when it comes to Rida Zouhir.
Well, he's not an experienced player, but he's a very game player. That's what I like, is that the occasion doesn't get to him, and you can just remember that penalty shootout in the Canadian Championship when he wanted to take the fifth penalty. So you see the personality of this player. I think it was really cool to see him play, and next to Victor Wanyama, you're pretty safe. You have a good mentor next to you. He's gonna cover the spaces, and he was put in a tough position, and I think he did very well for his young age. What he's 18 years old, Rida Zouhir. It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you that overall he did really well for, a player of his experience or lack thereof.
Yeah, another young player, but who has a lot of experience, who came under a lot of criticism. When we, after the games, I always go through Twitter, I read this hashtag CF Montreal, see the opinion of the people. Georgi Mihailovic's game didn't satisfy a lot of people.
No.
What about that?
So I feel a little bit when it comes to Georgie's game that the way that the team played didn't necessarily favor him being used, because they tried to involve, unfortunately, the wingbacks who were not up to it on the night too much. And of course, Georgi Mihailovic is a central player. So we would see him drifting a lot to one side or the other, trying to get involved in the play. But unfortunately, then that left the big gap in the middle, and it wasn't working. Unfortunately, it wasn't working. Montreal needed to build through the middle a lot more, I think, in order for him to be effective.
I get the idea that you have a young player in Rida Zouhir in the middle. You don't want to give him the ball too much and put him under a lot of pressure. And of course, the Mexican team, Santos Laguna, had his name on the board, circled. When this player is on the ball, drive him, make him nervous, be physical on him and try to get him out of his game. I get it, but I think that the real reason why Mihailovic wasn't involved in the game, yes, there was a lot of, unfortunately, we in my opinion, used a bit too much Mathieu Chouanière and Lassie through the wings. But the idea seemed to be to stretch the midfield and the defense of Santos Laguna. And you could see Joaquin Torres and Romel Kyoto always going very, very deep and try to play off the shoulders of the defense to create that gap. But once the ball got to Kyoto in these spaces, I think the support wasn't arriving quick enough. So Kyoto was often isolated, and he can do very well being isolated, maybe a second or two or three. But for some reason, that we were pegged so deep in our zone, when we were able to get out, Georgie, Rida, and even Victor Wanyama, who was playing a bit deeper, were so far from the action. It didn't help Torres and Kyoto to really get in their groove, and that, unfortunately, that's what happens. And I think Georgi Mihailovic is at his best when the ball transits by him. So he's in the middle, he drops, gets the ball, he turns, looks for a pass.
Yeah.
But clearly, the movement that we tried to bring to this game wasn't through Georgi. It was to go straight forward, then create once the forward.
We have a guest stopping by.
Wow.
Hello. Hey guys. How are you?
What a surprise, man. I'm good.
I wanted to surprise you. I was listening to you guys, and man, Eve, you're so harsh on Rida Zouhir. Really, the guy is 18. 18, man. 18. What were you doing at 18?
That's not podcast appropriate.
Just wanted to stop by, say hi. I'm sorry, all of you guys. I'm not here. Was dropping my parents at the airport, so sorry for not being here. But I'll be here next week. Thanks a lot for filling in. And I'm sure Eve and Sam are doing a wonderful job as usual.
We're trying.
Thanks
We're
for
trying.
By, man.
But I get to drop all my hot takes without rebuttal, so it's actually awesome.
I had to intervene. You know me, right?
I know you.
Of course, man.
I knew I was going to hear it from you at some point. And actually, Chan wants to know though: are you in hiding because of the OM?
Oh man, Chan, I didn't even watch the game. It was my last day with my parents. I didn't watch anything football related. So now at the airport, going back home to at least maybe catch a replay of the game and try not to cry too much, but it's not normal. Marseille losing 2-0 at home. Not normal. But yeah, whatever, there'll always be the next game, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course, man.
Okay, guys, so see you. Enjoy the rest of the pod. Thanks a lot again.
Alrighty,
see you next week.
Safe
bye,
travels
guys.
to your parents.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sam.
Cool.
We had a
No, it's good. It's good to see him. Really good to see him.
Yeah.
So I was just giving my take on the kind of what I saw as the movement of the team with the ball. I, I do have the feeling it's gonna change. I think next week we're gonna see Georgi Mihailovic much more involved, and I think that the ball is gonna transition a little more by midfield. So probably gonna have better chances than what we had on Tuesday.
Yeah, I would hope so for sure. Big time.
And so just rounding it off, what did you think of Romel Kyoto and Joaquin Torres' performance up front?
Obviously, I feel really bad for Kyoto that his goal got chalked off early on, and as well, you could tell that he was very frustrated as the night went on. He picked up that yellow card, which I'm pretty sure was just him taking out his frustration on the Santos Laguna defender. It was undoubtedly a frustrating match for him because he was left so isolated that it was kind of a thankless task to be him that night, unfortunately. As well, the officiating did nothing to help him.
That's for sure.
Whether it was the linesman or the center field ref, it was not good officiating. I'm really sorry, guys.
No.
And for Joaquin Torres, I think it was really it was just more of what we saw last season. So a lot of dribbling, but not a lot of substance coming with it. It wasn't leading to it. Usually a super dangerous chance. He would pick up some foul. He would get fouled and earn some free kicks, sure. But the dribbling and the passing wasn't necessarily getting Montreal any dangerous chances of note. So it was kind of like a flash, a flash in the pan.
I think Joaquin Torres is at his best when we're in possession and playing like really deep in the opposition territory. When we're trying to play a bit of a counter-attacking game, when we were playing a pretty low line and absorbing a lot of pressure towards the game. So when Torres is the outlet pass, it's not really easy for him. It's not his game, and he didn't look at his best, I think. But if you're gonna play a game in which your line is gonna play high, win balls early, maybe at the center of the pitch or even in the opposition area, and try to transition quickly, definitely a very, very important player to the team, Torres. But when we're playing that deep defensive line and just looking for a pass to get out, Torres isn't our guy. It's not easy for him doing that. He doesn't have the physicality to do so. He doesn't have the speed either to do it. Really, he's not that quick of a player. He's very shifty on the ball, but he doesn't have pace to just run after a ball and win it in space. So it's certainly Wilfried Nancy doesn't go into the game asking his team to defend that deep and just try to get the ball out by strikers. It's something that happens as the game isn't going your way, but still, once you're in that position, maybe it would have been interesting to drop him a bit deeper and try to play maybe closer to Mihailovic, even closer to Zouir, maybe in that game, and try to get some transition through him instead of being like the man really high in which the ball goes to him. So it's just my thoughts.
No, I love your tactical insight. So go to town.
Cool. So yeah, that's about it. We just go quickly through the goal. We conceded again very, very, very late. It wasn't a good look for us because it's something that we were kind of getting used to. What happened on that, Gail?
I mean, it was kind of, obviously Montreal had been weathering a really intense storm for, the more the second half went on. It was clear that Montreal's fitness levels obviously were in early season level, which is completely normal and understandable and to be expected, especially given they're on the road and in some altitude. So I wasn't surprised necessarily that Montreal was really kind of penned back that late in the game. But unfortunately, it just felt like they had been, bending but not breaking for 88 minutes. And unfortunately, finally, Kamal Miller got done on the dribble, which allowed the player to cross in. The ball just kind of flukily bounced off of Joel Waterman, and then there was the header for Osejo. So it was just kind of a catastrophe of little things, I think, that went against Montreal in that goal.
Yeah, Montreal looked like a team playing their first game of the season, right? They were some automatisms weren't there, and obviously the fitness level wasn't where it's supposed to be if you're playing mid-season game like Santos Laguna is playing. So the end of the games were always going to be a problem, and Wilfried Nancy did very well at identifying that problem, bringing on Zoran Bassong, bringing on Zachary Bourguillard. But still, our center backs had been taxed a lot in this game, and this is so uncharacteristic from Kamal Miller to be beaten on a nutmeg like that. Just tired legs, and it was just sloppiness of players that had a lot of football in their legs for their fitness levels. So I don't think it's a disaster at all. Being behind 1-0 going into the game on Tuesday at the Big O. We need to score one goal, hang on to it, don't concede, and we're going to, I think it's straight penalties, right?
If I'm not mistaken, yes. But they changed so much of the format this year. I believe it does go to extra time, actually, now that I look.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I believe extra time does still exist.
Okay.
In CONCACAF Champions League.
It's not a disaster at all what happened in Mexico. I think it's not a good result, but it's definitely not a disaster. And I think going into next game, we're gonna have a solid game, man. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of changes in this game. Tomorrow we'll know a lot more of what's gonna happen. So there's gonna be the presser with Wilfried Nancy. For sure, the journalist will ask questions about the availability of Alistair Johnston, Samuel Piet, Ahmed Hamdi, and these players can definitely be the difference if they are available on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Having some of those players, especially on the back line, I think, Rudy Camacho, if he's able to start, he already has some chemistry with Kamal Miller, which would be a great start to finding that form again, I hope, in defense. I mean, there's got to be somebody else who can play on the wing back positions. Zachary Bourguillard was good enough to get flown into El Salvador and play 10 minutes for Canada. So I don't know what he's done that isn't up to Wilfried Nancy's liking. But it's got to be better on the wings than it was. It's imperative.
Yeah, obviously. These positions, and I've been rambling on this ever since we started this podcast. These positions are so important in Wilfried Nancy's idea of football, really, that you need top quality players in there. And I really think that Mathieu Chouanière playing on the left and Zachary Bourguillard playing on the right gives you the best opportunity to win a soccer game. So there was something that Wilfried Nancy maybe saw in Santos Laguna's game, maybe a tactical move. I don't know why really Lassie got the start, but
no, and that's the thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, David, when he joined us, he kind of gave us some good insight because it sounds like they're a team very much in transition right now because they're adjusting to a new coach. And they've had some new players come in as well. So, I mean, how much even could Wilfried Nancy have prepared, knowing that the team is, Santos Laguna, the opposition, is so kind of topsy-turvy right now as they make all these adjustments?
Yeah, exactly. But still, yes, a lot of changes, but you have tape on them, right? You have tape on the players, right? Even though they're not necessarily in the same system, tendencies of players, like when they get in certain areas, how do they react? What do they do? How do they turn? Which foot do they use? These are things that are important to know going into a game. Then how they put it into a system, it's always going to translate a bit differently on game day anyway. So it's important to be prepared. Wilfried Nancy most definitely didn't have all the information he needed because of the change of coach and that they're in transition, but still he did have a lot more information on them that probably they had on us, right?
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah, it's everything to be played for on Tuesday in Montreal, and that's going to be really interesting. And my question to you, Eve, is: we're talking about personnel change. If Johnston is available, if Piet is available, if Hamdi is available, I think more importantly than personnel changes, what can we expect in mindset and idea changes from the team, like technical?
Yeah. I think, like, from a mental standpoint, I think it'll be a lot. There won't be as many of those jitters that you have in the very first game of the season. So I think, like, kind of some of those demons will have hopefully been chased away. So, I think maybe, especially some of those players who had really good chemistry last year, but we didn't necessarily see them, playing well off each other, like Georgi Mihailovic and Ramel Kyoto. We know they had really good chemistry last year, but they didn't really manage to find each other very much in this particular match. Maybe now that they've had an actual game to play together, that might also click back in. But if I am, tactically speaking, I don't think it would be wise to try a super new formation for Wilfried Nancy, with so much riding on this game, knowing that Montreal absolutely has to win. But like I said, there has to be a change in personnel for sure on the wings if we're sticking with a back three, categorically. And hopefully maybe we could, I would also maybe prefer somebody other than Joaquin Torres to start alongside Ramel Kyoto up top, because I don't think he's been particularly effective.
You're almost bringing me to our next subject, because we have a new signing, Kai Kamara. He's probably going to be available because he was seen in Montreal. We'll get to that just before, because I'm going to say, one very important thing, in my opinion, Victor Wanyama was bossing the midfield in Mexico.
Yeah.
He was the man in midfield.
Yeah, completely agree.
So I really think that Victor Wanyama has to be more involved when we have the ball. Ball has to transition through Wanyama and through Mihailovic. And I think that we do have the pace up front with Kyoto to try to get through balls and get Kyoto in behind the defense of their shoulders. Not try these long balls, like 40, 50-yard balls that we were doing on Tuesday, but really go shorter, get the more compact team. I don't want to see the strikers playing 30 meters from the midfielders and the midfielders 30 meters from the defense. Everyone play very compact, get the transition quick, and try to get the balls in behind for Kyoto, and it's going to work, because on that goal that was disallowed, it's exactly what happened. Mihailovic got the ball quickly, got his head up, fantastic ball to Kyoto in behind the defense, and then panic was in the Mexican defense. Now the goal was disallowed, but I think that model should be used, and probably gonna have a lot more chances. So that brings us to our next subject. We were talking. We had to talk about him at some point. Yes. Kai Kamara.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Why do I feel like he should have been playing for Montreal like for years already?
I mean, I think everybody in Montreal feels that way. People feel like you're not the only one. Far from it, Sam. Definitely, I felt the same way. That I mean, how many end of seasons, did we reach where, especially after Didier Drogba, where we struggled so much with strikers? Did we not say, why not try Kai Kamara? Why not try Kai Kamara? Friends with Dom Maduro. Why not try Kai Kamara? And, he's always been so charismatic as a player as well. So when he's come to Montreal, he's been really gracious with the Montreal fans as well, on social media the same way. So for me, it was a no-brainer several years ago, and lo and behold, it's finally happened.
Yeah, I know. Kai Kamara, he's 37, right? There's some people that were starting to, to ask themselves, does he still have it? Is he still? two people in the CF Montreal community that are really close to African football that followed the AFCON this year are Sidfo and Matt Lemay. And they said that Kai Kamara still had a very, very strong game to himself at 37 for his native Sierra Leone. So Kai Kamara, he signed a 1-year contract plus 1-year option that, if he signs it, would bring him until 39 years old. He's the 5th all-time goal scorer in the history of the league. He scored 130 goals and has 47 assists to his name. And a career in which he played twice for Columbus. He played for San Jose, Houston, Sporting KC, New England, Vancouver, Colorado, Minnesota, and now finally Montreal. Could you see him start on Tuesday?
Realistically, no. Probably not. He does have a lot going in his favor, given that he was just recently, even though he wasn't attached to a club, he was playing competitive football at the African Cup of Nations, which is to his favor. It probably won't take him as long to get integrated into the squad. But realistically, no. I mean, he landed in Montreal yesterday, and it was a terribly snowy day, so I don't know if he managed to make it over to training. So he likely won't have had time to learn Nancy's tactics or anything like that. As well, I don't know if the CONCACAF accepts players being added on the weekend or if they only operate on business days.
But I know they can modify the list 48 hours prior to the game.
So theoretically, he could definitely be added to the team sheet. However, I find it extremely unlikely that he'd be starting.
It could happen, though. There was definitely something missing up front, and going into this crucial game, you need a goal. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not start Kai Kamara and give him 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes maybe, and then you bring on Joaquin Torres against the fatigued defense, and that could be interesting. Thing is, what I like about this move a lot, and a lot of people are saying that it's very unlike Olivier Renard, but there was a need that needed to be filled, and we did it in really good fashion in getting Kai Kamara. He reminds me a lot in his game of Mason Toye some way, because Romel Kyoto loves to drop a bit deeper, play with a defender on his back and bring the midfielders in close to him. Kai Kamara loves to go deeper, and he's a great target with his frame. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", very good frame. So you have a combination that we had at the start of last year with Mason Toye loving these deeper runs and Kyoto dropping a bit closer to midfield. We'll be able to have that. Now, how quickly will these two players gel? I don't know, but you're in a very important, crucial game already this early in the season. I think that Instincts will just go in and see these players work it through, and I'm pretty sure that it could work if Kai Kamara gets a start very early.
You're optimistic. You're a resident optimist.
I am.
Yeah.
These are the things sometimes that a coach will gamble on. I think Nasi has to gamble a bit, and obviously the fans would be absolutely loving it. Going into this game with Kai Kamara, who, in my opinion, is one of the very few opposition players that every Montreal fan always loved. I never heard one Montreal fan hate on Kamara, even when he was playing for New England, for Kansas City, for Columbus.
When he scored a hat trick against us versus with Colorado. No, he's like it's very kind of strange, the feeling Montreal fans have towards Kai Kamara. I don't know if there's another opposition player, who didn't say formally play for Montreal or something, who is regarded as highly as Kai Kamara is in the eyes of Montreal fans. And I don't even know why, because I started, of course, following the team in 2015, but really the whole time, he was part of that crazy 4-4 match with Columbus, like with the penalty drama. You remember that?
Yeah.
And so it's not as though like we always saw him as this shining beacon of morality or anything, because we saw him acting out on the field and stuff like that.
True. Because that's at Saputo that game, right?
No, that one was in Columbus.
In Columbus, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I really don't know what kind of charm he has, but he really seduced like almost the entire Montreal fan base.
Well, he scores goals, eh? And that's something that we're desperately needing since Drogba left. So, I mean, now we have to be fair, I think, with the player. At 37, he's definitely at the tail end of his career. I don't think we should have very high expectations on his goal scoring, but I think he can definitely fit into the team and be a very important player. In transition, in possession, just with the different of style that he brings, because we don't have that profile now that Mason Toye is injured. So he's going to be definitely important. And I think it's going to be a great mentor for young players like Mason Toye and Sanusi Ibrahim. And this, as important as it is, in my opinion, to be a team that goes young, like Olivier Renard tries to do since he's been here, you need these mentors to help the youth develop to be as good as they can.
No, I agree. And, he's a good mentor, but he's really highly regarded, in the league. For example, my friends at Switch the Pitch interviewed him when MLS players came together and launched the Black Players for Change in 2020. They interviewed him as part of that because he was one of the founding members of that. So he's really highly regarded within MLS. And as well, of course, he's regarded really highly outside of MLS because he does have his foundation in Sierra Leone, Heart-Shaped Hands, for which they raise money to do scholarships and provide kids with scholarships and whatnot. So that's really good. And so he's not only a good player, but a good person. He's involved and he obviously cares a lot about a lot of causes, which is a good character, which is kind of what you want to see on your team.
Absolutely. You need these players in your dressing room. So I'm delighted. I'm super excited to see him in Montreal colors. At some point, even though you had the feeling that it would happen one day, I kind of abandoned the idea that it would. Him.
Likewise, especially. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, especially once he left MLS, because last year, of course, he played in Finland.
Yes.
And so once he left MLS, I said, "Oh, the ship has really, really sailed," and I was sad.
Yeah, but now he is in Montreal, and it's fantastic. I can't wait to see him on the pitch. So hope it's Tuesday. Really hope it's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you what, you will. That will be, I guess, your bold take. That'll be your bold take for Tuesday's match.
Yeah, camera starts. That's my bold take.
Alrighty.
On a smaller note, but still one with big significance, Montreal signed a goalkeeper this week. Logan Ketter, 1 year plus 2 option year contracts, 28-year-old player. 4th round draft pick from Columbus in 2017. He's played most of his career in USL. Now everyone was scratching their heads. Why another goalkeeper? What does this mean for James Pantemis and or Jonathan Sirois?
I would sincerely hope for Jonathan Sirois it would mean that he's going on loan again to CPL this year so that he has playing time. As for I think it is important to have a third keeper easily available. Last year, we saw when Montreal only had Pantemis, Breza, and of course Sirois, who was out on loan. When James Pantemis was ill, they had to hastily recall Jonathan Sirois, which kind of interrupted his season and his loan, which is far from ideal. So I think it is important to have a third keeper more readily available than what they did last year. So this move doesn't shock me or it doesn't concern me very much. Plus, you can call him, even though he's only 28, a relative veteran compared to the other players.
Yeah, definitely. So what you see, Eve, is a 1-2 battle between Pantemis and Breza and Ketter as a third.
Yeah.
I do see this as well. Our co-host Hadi thinks that it's Serrois on loan and Pantemis will move to another club. I'm not too sure about that, but Addy's not here to defend himself, so I won't question what he said. I really think it's the same opinion as you, and we're probably going to see Joe Serrois move pretty soon. And what really opened my eyes was the option years on his contract. So what I see is, if there is movement, Serrois leaves the club, Pantemis leaves the club, or Breza doesn't get a full-time deal, or his loan expires and we don't bring him back, Ketter, you just have to activate his option, and he'll be back for another year as probably your third string goalkeeper. So it makes a lot of sense that he's the number 3 locked in, and there's no controversy really in that. Serrois has to play full-time football, and that's what's gonna happen. He's probably gonna go back to CPL for another year before he comes back and really challenge for that number 1 spot in Montreal.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Anything else to add on Montreal?
No, I don't think so. I mean, really, we had the big news came on Friday, and I think we're all still kind of recovering from that. Speaking of, did you notice that Kai Kamara announcement and as well the video that he subsequently did and stuff? I mean, talk about like Montreal finally getting some attention that they were looking for. Like, I have not seen a Montreal video get those kinds of views in years.
You mean the video when he's like sliding with
and he says bonjour. Like, I mean, it got 60,000 views on Twitter alone.
No, it's amazing.
So, surely somewhere someone in Montreal's, or in the CF Montreal office is kind of kicking themselves like, oh, we could have just done this last year.
Why we did it before, man?
Right.
But, we weren't in the same position last year. I think we didn't expect Mason Toy to have all these injuries, and
we expected more from Bjorn. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so probably Kai Kamara takes the place that Bjorn was supposed to take, and that puts his career, Bjorn Janssen, even more into question. But I was just looking at our bold statements for last game. Had he had a goal for Bjorn Janssen, he wasn't even on the sheet. So I said 2 red cards. Eve, you said that VAR would mess up at some point. You definitely came the closest.
It was controversial for sure.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
So, I've got a bold statement for next week's game. Kai Kamara will start. That's my bold statement. What's yours before we move on to the women national team?
James Pantemis will start.
Really?
I'm going bold. It makes no sense to me.
That's as bold as it comes.
Well, it doesn't get bolder than Bjorn Janssen scoring last week. Sorry, Hattie.
No, definitely not.
No, so that would be my bold statement.
So that's noted. We'll see who comes.
It would make no sense, though.
No, I don't think it will happen. Eve, we'll move on to the women national team, who are sitting alone up top of the Arnold Clark Cup standings.
Yes.
It didn't look that it would be that way after the first half of the game against England.
No.
But a very good second half against England in Middlesbrough, and a very, very good performance today in Norwich against Germany. So let's just unpack these 2 games. Eve, what did you see? What did you like? Just choose a game and we'll go right into it.
So I think I'll start probably with my most recent memory because it's today. Vanessa Gilles scored her first Canadian women's national team goal. Congratulations to her.
Deserved.
Very off a header off a corner, which of course the commentary made me learn that was Canada's first headed goal in 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Jordan Huytema was the last player. So Canada, get on it. Yes, so that was really cool. Really pleased for Vanessa Gilles because of course she's kind of a new addition, relatively new, I guess, the women's side. But she's really made her mark on the team. So I'm thrilled.
Oh, listen, I love Vanessa Gilles. She's one of the very few that's left old school type of defenders that still go very physical. She doesn't have the best, ball to, ball carrying and passing range. That's not her strength, but her defending is class. She's always in the lanes for blocking shots, for passes, and her partnership with Kadisha Buchanan is just amazing. I mean, you look at both players. Just imagine being a striker and you have the choice. Either you go on Vanessa Gilles' side and you're gonna get some sort of physical contact that's gonna leave a mark because she's extremely extremely solid, or you go on Buchanan's side and you're just not gonna pass. So it's probably a very daunting task to be a forward against these two.
Yeah, for sure. Across both matches, Kadisha Buchanan has been enormous. She has been immense.
Incredible.
She is. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know where to start. I mean, better. I think that I don't have a word. You see, it's so good. Truly, she's been fantastic. She's been definitely a rock in that central defense, especially because we did see Vanessa Gilles, in my opinion, commit 2 penalty-worthy offenses during the most recent match today. But Kadisha Buchanan, she really has not put a foot out of line, in my opinion.
And if we stay with the center backs, how unlucky is Zadorsky in this situation, because Zadorsky hasn't done anything to lose her spot, really. No. She's been very, very good when she played, but she's just behind 2 fantastic defenders, really.
Yeah, and they're just in really good form. At least for obviously Vanessa Gilles, she's not even playing club football yet because her NWSL side is not in season yet. But I mean, Shalina Zadorsky's in wonderful form with Spurs, conversely. So I have to admit, I'd be feeling a little bit salty, but also if you watch the matches, I mean, you cannot dislodge Kadisha Buchanan, in my humble opinion. And, maybe you could make a case for Vanessa Gilles. But as well, we do have to kind of move up the field because, as Chan pointed out, Quinn and Fleming bossed that midfield today. That is a phenomenal midfield pairing.
But not just today. I mean, the first game against England, they were very, very, very good. And when Quinn came in,
it changed the game.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But I just want to talk about Fleming first because, Jessie Fleming, 23 years old, given the captain's armband, and I just loved her game, how she assumed that captaincy. She was the motor in midfield. She was never stop, as if she couldn't stop, really. Yeah. And a very, very, very good performance. And I understand why they rate her so highly in England. I mean, sometimes when players play for the national team, you kind of miss that perspective because you see them always in the same colors, playing against your opposition. But in England, they have a very, very good opinion of Jessie Fleming, and you kind of see why right now, because she's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, she really is. I love her vision on the ball. I love how she's able to transition to offense so well. She has a really great vision for a pass as well. I thought Quinn played some phenomenal balls actually in behind the line, notably like today to Nichelle Prince. Yes. Maybe the German keeper could have had a red card. So I actually thought Quinn also played some phenomenal balls out of defensive midfielder. But to the point of Jessie Fleming, she has vision. She can dribble. She has that technique. She's clearly the technical leader of the Canadian women's national team. Ashley Lawrence is also a fantastic player who I think gets overlooked a lot as well. But you got to say, your eye is just so drawn to Jessie Fleming when she's playing. It's just so attractive the way she plays.
Oh yeah, and she's kind of, she has the capacity of really leading that team and drawing the players to play at her level, and that makes a good captain. I was a bit surprised that she didn't have the captain's armband today, but I understand the concept of changing from player to player as the games go on. But if Jessie Fleming leads the way like this, I think she's gonna be captain for a long, long time, and it's gonna be her team. We were talking about this at the Olympics when she took over the penalty duties, and people were starting to say, it was Christine Sinclair's team for a long, long time, and now it's becoming Jesse Fleming's team. I think it's kind of confirming it right now, but surrounded of very, very good players, and that's what looks so good for Canada. When you look at Quinn, when you look at Jade Riviere, when you look at Janine Becky, who was fantastic too. I mean, it's looking great for Canada, right?
No, I'm thrilled, and we talked about, there was definitely some change in the squad for this competition, notably with Christine Sinclair, of course, being the biggest name who was absent. But, they really haven't missed a beat. So for me, I'm so thrilled. Like, we've got a really good midfield for years to come. I think Julia Grosso will make her place in that midfield. I think she's just still kind of, a little bit young into it, because, of course, she did start in the first match versus England. And England, admittedly, they're at home. Most, if not all, of their players are in season. So it was going to be harder, for sure. But I think Julia Grosso will get there as well with the midfield, in my opinion, because she plays with a very, very good team in Juventus.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But speaking, sorry, before we move on,
yes.
Chan as well had pointed out that Jade Riviere played very well. She actually earned some really good praise from the Chelsea women's coach, who was commentating the match for English television. And so there might even be rumored interest actually generated for her, because, of course, she's playing in NCAA right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, these amateur players jumping straight to big clubs in Europe like this just shows the quality of the programs we have at youth levels in Canada. So when I saw Julia Grosso coming out of NCAA and going straight to Juventus, you have to think this just doesn't happen in university level in the States. This happens when you're going up the ranks in Canada and really learning your game and as early as 12, 13, 14 years old. And I've been saying it for a long time here. Coaching in Canada has become so good. There's a lot of quality players really know the game now when they're growing, and they're learning so quickly and so well that when they get to these NCAA levels, they're bossing it and they have interest right away in big clubs in Europe. And that's fantastic. I mean, I think it's a testament of the quality we have of the coaching and of the program in Canada.
Yeah, true story. I mean, Bev Priestman, especially, we talked about, I mentioned earlier at the start that Vanessa Gilles' goal today was their first set piece goal in 2 years. But they've just brought in a new set piece coach in Jen Hurst. And lo and behold, they bring in a new set piece coach, and suddenly they score a set piece goal finally after a 2-year dry spell. So obviously, definitely the coaching is going well, and the players are obviously really, really united, and they've really, really brought into the system, and the new players coming in are adjusting to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear you on Jordan Hartman. She didn't play today. She wasn't listed at an injury, I think, that Bev Priestman didn't precise what was going on. But I want to hear you on her minutes that she played against England. Obviously, a lot of hope is placed on her. What did you see in her game against England?
I'll be honest, I was watching it while I was working, so I'll be honest with you, there were spots that I missed. I don't when looking at it today, for example, the way Chloe Lacasse occupied space up front, and she was, I don't know how to say it, but you could always tell what she was doing and what the purpose to her movement was. And for Jordan Huitema, I didn't necessarily see as much of that in what I was able to view of the game versus England. So for me, I don't know. It's like it was close, but not quite, if that makes sense. I when I saw what Chloe Lacasse was doing today, I said, that's what I wanted Jordan Huitema to be doing. I wanted her to be all over the place.
Yeah. That's exactly why I was asking, because I was looking at Chloe Lacasse doing so well today, and obviously Jordan Huitema has a lot of talent, but I just had the feeling that the position in which they played her wasn't exactly suited for her against England. She was playing a bit deeper than in a kind of 3-ish attacking formation. I didn't think that suited her that well. Maybe she should have been a bit higher up the pitch, because just correct me, she wasn't playing exactly as a number 10, but she wasn't playing up as a striker either.
It was like a false 9.
Kind of, yeah. And I don't think that position suits her.
I think she is an out and out striker. Yeah,
exactly. Me too. So that's why, because once again, I was going through Twitter and stuff, and seeing some criticism of Jordan Hartman, a bit unfair in my opinion.
Yeah,
because
and I mean, she got the assist on Becky's goal as well.
Well, let's talk about this.
Okay, so apparently it was actually like kind of a fluke of a goal, because she wanted to score it with her right foot, and she scored it, of course, with her left, and we were all, oh my gosh, what a goal. And apparently that actually was not at all what she wanted for her shot. But it was a phenomenal strike.
It was fun. Well, these things you shouldn't say it. You should just say that it was exactly what I wanted to do. The ball was supposed to go there, but no, a very good goal. And I was happy because she's not having the greatest time right now at club level, not playing a lot, and she kind of made a case for herself against England of all
very
people.
Much. Yeah. No, I know it's been a little bit tough with Manchester City, for sure. But yeah, I think she's still a really, really, really important player in the Canadian women's team. I think she is somebody who you could pretty regularly put on the starting 11, for most matches. But yeah, hopefully that will definitely boost her confidence, and she can carry that back to club level as well. Because it was a phenomenal strike.
Oh, it was amazing. So what can we expect for the game at your favorite stadium in England, the Molineux, against Spain?
So Spain is, a really, really good side, but I caught a little bit of their match versus England today, and it was kind of sterile, to be honest with you. Okay. I kind of thought there'd be a lot more attacking flair. Maybe it was just the match. Maybe there's rotation and I'm not aware of it. So, I don't want to speculate too hard. But I would actually like to see a lineup a lot more like the lineup I saw today versus Spain, rather than the lineup that we saw versus England. Yeah. I think Quinn absolutely has to start in central midfield. 100%. It's non-negotiable. Like they are to me, Kadisha Buchanan and then Quinn on the team sheet, basically. I feel like Shalina Zadorsky does deserve a start for sure, because she's been in fantastic club form. As well, I wanted to give props. I forgot to, so I'm just going to slide it in here. Kaylin Sheridan, she's so strong at the club level in NWSL, and she's waited so long for it to be her turn, and it finally is. And I kind of thought that she was a little bit nervy in the England match. Maybe she could have done a little bit better on the goal. But today I thought she exuded so much confidence. I thought she was really bossing her box, and, she was communicating so strongly with the defender. So I just I neglected to say that. So I'm just going to slide it in there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You're right. I should have, but she was very, very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I that was like the Kaylin Sheridan that I had been expecting to see today. So hopefully it was just kind of first match. I think it was just first match jitters on the first match versus England. But to me, Chloe Lacasse, I know she didn't make the score sheet or anything, but I thought she had a strong performance. She gave the German defenders a lot of grief. So I would, if I'm Bev Priestman, Jordan Huitema definitely has like a pedigree. She has prior form going in her favor, but Chloe Lacasse did really, really well today. And I would not be against her starting as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think. It's going to
be interesting to see. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to say, because it's still a friendly tournament, and you want to put some players on. Honestly, I was a bit surprised that Zadorsky didn't get the start. I thought maybe Gilles or Buchanan would get the day off and Zadorsky would play. So, Bev Priestman has to bear in mind that there's some very good players, important players to the program that haven't played at all or very, very little, that need to have some minutes. So I think it would be an error to consider this game against Spain like a final, even though you're first and you obviously want to win, because it's still a friendly tournament, and the most important thing I think is really to get everyone that you want to see, get them some minutes, and so it's difficult to predict the lineup. It's really difficult, but I think whoever Bev Priestman is gonna put out there, it's gonna be solid. It's really gonna be solid. So there's no there's no stress for that, I think.
No, I agree. Plus, I mean, there's those new players who have been called up. Like Wojciech, for example. We haven't seen her yet at all. So there's also a lot of players, who we have yet to see. And maybe it's just a matter that they're going to be kind of in the fold, right? And they're just kind of learning the system and the culture of the team. But yeah, maybe we might even get some surprises, on the bench, if not starting.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting. Will we win this tournament? I don't know, but it's definitely a win for the program. What's gone on so far? Some good performances, and it didn't look that way. Like I said at the start against England, but good adjustments, probably a good team talk in there, and players, put their head down, started to, work probably twice as hard as they did in the first half, and everything panned out. So it's all good. It's all good so far, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm enjoying it. I think maybe there's a little bit less. They're playing like a little bit less pressure because it is at the end of the day a friendly tournament. But of course, in a World Cup qualifying year, you definitely want to get on to a strong start.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. So we'll see. Can't wait for it. You'll finally be able to see your team play at the Molyneux.
I know. And I had a good time watching the game at Molyneux today, so hopefully I have just as good a time.
So we'll see. Eve, do you have anything to add on the women national team?
No, just keep doing what they're doing.
Oh yeah, keep it up. It's great. It's great so far. So I think we're done for part 1 of the show. I'll throw it right to you to social media.
Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty. So first things first, we do have a question from Pat. Pat asks us, with one senior spot left, do you think Montreal will use it for a much-needed experienced box-to-box midfielder or left back? And which do you think is a more pressing need?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's the left back.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I really think, we thought Gaëtan Bong would be signing with the club, and we just didn't hear anything afterwards. We thought we had our left back coming in. Listen, I really think that once you find a left back, your number 8 problem is also fixed, because Mathieu Chouanière can play in that position. And if Mathieu Chouanière isn't up to the task, you still have Ahmed Hamdi, and you can still interchange Victor Wanyama and Samuel Piet. So left back is the main headache of Wilfried Nancy, in my opinion. You really need to find a good natural left back that fits the system. That means that as good as attacking as defending. And the number 8 problem will be fixed. That's as simple as that for me.
That's a good point about, Mathieu Chouanière finally being able to play in central midfield, which is supposedly his position. But, I understand. For me, I would also lean toward a left back, simply because although none of them are necessarily a true box-to-box midfielder, there are just so many central midfielders in the Montreal squad right now. So many. That bringing in another one, it kind of it feels like it would just be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly.
So just for the sheer volume of personnel in the central midfielder position, I think Montreal does need a left back.
Yeah, and in these games when you're not able to transition through your number 8 or through Mihailovic or through Wanyama, if you can go through the wing with a very good left wing back, you're fixing a problem, definitely. And that's probably what lacked, in the game in Torreon in Mexico, is that the center of the pitch was blocked. The Santos Laguna did well to put pressure on the central midfielders, then you give the ball out on the wings for their wingbacks, and obviously on the left it was very difficult with Lapalainen. So yeah, for me it's a 100% need is left wing back. If we're gonna keep that system, you need a real left wing back.
Yeah.
Hope it answered your question, Pat.
Yep, we're united. Alrighty. Moving right along, we have Palencia 514, who's responding to a tweet from Zoran Basong. So Zoran Basong tweeted, focus. He tweeted this the day after the game versus Santos Laguna. He said, focus on the next game at Saputo Stadium. And Palencia 514 said, who's gonna tell him? Oh, could you imagine if we were playing at Stade Saputo? Theoretically, if it were possible, right now, because of how much snow Montreal's had in the past few days.
Well, it would be probably better for the ankles and the knees of the players playing at Stade Saputo right now than on the concrete surface at the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
But it would be cool. It would be really cool. I'd love to see it, and it would be an advantage for us, I think.
Really. Yeah. I really hope someday, they get on that.
Yeah. We saw what it meant to the Canadian fans playing at the Azteca in Edmonton. It's become something of folklore in Canadian soccer. So I think it could be really important at some point that we do it in Montreal, and put a heated surface under the turf at Saputo, and heated stands, seats. Yeah. And make it happen, because I think at some point we'll have to stop playing at the Olympic Stadium. I mean,
yeah, it sucks.
It's long overdue that we shouldn't be playing there anymore.
Exactly. Sigh. Anyway, moving along. All right, we have Dan Clark. Who has tweeted about the Canadian men's national team goalkeeper depth chart. In Dan's opinion, it is 1, Borjan, 2, Corbo, 3, Breza, 4, St. Clair, and 5, Leutwiler. Agree or disagree?
Well, it's difficult to disagree, eh? I mean, it's
if James Pantemis isn't playing, it's real hard to make the depth chart.
Well, that's the thing. If 2 players of the same national team are in competition in a club, and one of them is starting, the other one is on the bench. I mean, you kind of have to trust the club coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand John Hartman not going there right now, but if it continues that way, that Breza is having very strong performances and Pantemis is not touching the field, I think he has to have that number 3 spot, and you won't take Borjan or Corbo out of there, and 1 and 2 is locked. And I think 4 and 5 is very accurate too on his list. So everything is to be played at number 3, and it's cool because we have them in Montreal.
I know.
But right now, I think he's right.
Yeah.
How about you?
I honestly, you kind of talked me into it. Depending if St. Clair gets minutes with Minnesota, you could maybe argue moving him a little bit up the depth chart, depending on how he does with Minnesota this year. So you could maybe kind of toggle 3rd and 4th, but obviously Borjan's number 1, Corbo's number 2. Leutwiler, he's probably further down the depth chart if we're being realistic. And then, for me, number 3 and number 4, it's kind of a crapshoot. It depends on who's getting minutes, and it depends on, what they're doing with those minutes. It could be St. Clair, it could be Pantemis, it could be Breza. I mean, maybe Sterrois is even going to start playing his way on loan into some camps if he does like he did last year.
Eve, I'll just, before you continue, because there's a question that goes almost right into here.
Okay.
Moody is rating at Hank Moody 12 just sent us a question. He says, how do you view Breza versus Pantemis? We just talked about it, so there's your answer. But he asks us as well, does Chouanière have a chance to make the World Cup squad? And which young homegrown are you most excited about? So let's answer Chouanière first.
Yeah. Chouanière, he's really... Go ahead.
But I think it's the same situation, the goalkeeper situation.
Yeah. The thing that Choinière has going for him, though, is that he's a very versatile player. Montreal is able to use him in 3 different positions. So theoretically, John Hartman could be able to do that too in a pinch. However, he's not made the camp for, whatever reason John Hartman has chosen. Obviously, unfortunately, Canada is really, really incredibly deep at the positions that Mathieu Choinière plays, whether it's left back or right back. There's Tejon Buchanan, there's Alphonso Davies, there's Richie Laryea, there's Sam Adekube. And then if you go into central midfielder, then you've got, Steven Eustachio, Atiba Hutchinson, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Quality.
So, I kind of feel for Mathieu Choinière because he's not necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just a matter of the depth. But you're not allowed to bring a very big squad to a World Cup, unfortunately. If you were able to bring like 30 players, yeah, I think he'd make the squad. But unfortunately, I think he just makes the cut.
Well, I'll answer the question by saying if Zachary Brault-Guillard is to make the squad, I think it's 23 players that you bring. If he's the 23rd player, let's say, but he's being preferred to by Mathieu Choinière. I think Choinière has to go. It's the same situation as the goalies, If you have to trust the club coach at some point, he's seeing the players much more often. And if Wilfried Nancy thinks that Mathieu Choinière is a right wing back as of this season, and he's in competition with Zachary Brault-Guillard, and he continues to get the starts like he did in Mexico, we'll see. It's all up in the air right now. But if it does happen that way, I think you have to trust the club coach. And if Zachary Brault-Guillard is their 23rd player, but he's not playing because Mathieu Choinière is having a better season than him, why don't you bring Mathieu Choinière?
Fair enough. No, you make a very good point. No, you do make a very good point. As well, though, John Hartman doesn't play the same system,
That's a fact.
As Wilfried Nancy. So what he's looking for in a right wing back might not be what Wilfried Nancy's looking for in a right wing back.
It's a very, very good point. So, so to answer Moody's ratings question, does Mathieu Choinière have a chance? He has a chance, but it's going to be very, very difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, it would involve, a lot of players not being able to go. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
But there's one thing I saw. I think it was Canon MT Focus who put a poll out and just asking people a question. Which player that hasn't been called up at all will make the squad? And a lot of non-Montreal fans were talking about Mathieu Choinière, like Toronto fans, Vancouver fans. So there's a certain hype about him in Canada. I think it's a moderate hype, but people do have him on their radar, so it's very interesting.
Fair enough.
And we'll answer his third question. Which young homegrown are you most excited about?
Obviously, Rida Zuhir is already getting quality, meaningful minutes with the team, and he's seizing that chance and fitting in with the big squad. So you kind of want to say Rida Zuhir, but it does feel a little bit like a freebie of an answer. So I'm gonna give a different answer. I'm excited by Karifa Yao. I think he's really good.
I was gonna say that.
Great minds.
Good.
Yeah, no, I think Karifa Yao matured a lot on his loan in CPL. I think he developed really well. Obviously, he was really highly regarded. He made their team of the year last year. And from the little bits and pieces that we were able to see of training camp, he looks really fit. He looks like he's like matured a lot.
Oh yeah.
So he might go out on loan again this year, maybe. But if he stays with the first team, I really hope he gets some minutes. I really, really hope so, because I would be very excited to see him after the season that he enjoyed last year.
Yeah, likewise. Karifa Yao, definitely. And he was decorated in CPL. Very, very good season. The fans loved him in Cavalry. So I think he's really one to watch in the future. Yeah, definitely. So I hope it answered your questions, Moody's ratings.
Hope so. Alrighty, moving on to our next tweet. Thanks for looping me in on that one, Sam.
No problem.
Alrighty. We have... This is Matt Germain, who tweeted a really fun statistic about Kai Kamara. He said, pretty significant move for CF Montreal. Not sure if it still stands, but I do think he holds record for number of teams scored for in MLS with 8. Could make it 9 with CF Montreal. So I did a quick little Google around, and I couldn't find anyone in MLS, like, current players at least for sure, who had scored with more teams. So I'm fairly confident that this record still stands. Do you think he's going to do it?
I'm sure he's going to do it.
Do you think he's going to do it on Tuesday?
I hope he's going to do it on Tuesday. And it's so funny. It goes a bit what we were talking earlier is that, there's that kind of narrative that when a player plays for like half of all the league and he's always changing cities and teams, he's a problem,
Yeah.
It's not the impression that Kai Kamara has given me throughout his career, it's a bit surprising that he's moved so much, It's not necessarily a record that you want to have. It's not an enviable record in my opinion. But still, nothing in Kai Kamara's career is really given a red flag of a player that shouldn't be staying in a club,
No, and it seems like he's well liked by a lot of fans of, teams for which he used to play or teams for which he never played. He's obviously really well liked by a lot of other players in the league, or former players, whatever. It's a bit of a head scratcher for sure. Nonetheless,
he's gonna get that record for sure.
Yeah, nifty record nonetheless. Given that we don't know that it's for a bad reason.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, last but not least, obviously the MLS sides released their new kits this week. The 3 Canadian clubs included. So we have Tony Martino, who's reacting to a tweet from One Soccer asking which of the 3 Canadian clubs released the best jersey. So I'm sorry I don't have the full picture for you, but it is a general idea, and I'm sure everybody has seen the kits anyway. So Tony Martino's opinion is that Vancouver had the best, CF Montreal had the second best, and TFC had the worst. Tony said that Montreal is essentially a template. Okay, sucks, but who cares? It's either nice or it's not. TFC, he actually kind of liked it. And he said Van is sharp, period.
Yeah, I agree with all he said. Vancouver is beautiful.
I love Vancouver's kit. It's really classy. It's a throwback to their old kits, obviously, as well.
They've always had very, very nice kits, Not one year we looked at Vancouver kit and said, oh, they missed that one. They're very classy, simple, it's beautiful.
There was one I didn't like. It's something to do with rain. I forget. But anyway, there was one I didn't like.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, overall, Vancouver generally is really, really nice kits. And I think this year is really nice. I like the color scheme of Vancouver. I like their shade of blue.
It's beautiful. Montreal, it's the same thing as Arsenal away.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know that it was, another Adidas template.
Yeah.
Would you maybe feel differently about it? At least some blue is back. I'm pleased that blue is back.
Yeah, and maybe feel a bit different about it. Yeah. Maybe it's that Arsenal connection, obviously.
Well, and
Manchester United fan.
And this year we saw a lot of MLS clubs going really original. Orlando's away kit is very original. Portland's is super eye-catching. Obviously, really strong hearkening to the Rose City, and it's pink. So we saw a lot of clubs. New
York City is painful to watch.
Okay, yeah, but you can't say that's a template.
No.
So, we saw a lot of clubs going with really original designs after years and years and years of criticizing the league. And then Montreal, they bring back the blue, which is a good start because we were all really disappointed to see that leave the kit last year was mainly black and then the gray, which sucked. But then we find out it's a freaking template. And I'm like, oh.
But it looks good. To be honest, it looks good. I'm not a fan. Like, I don't think it's amazing, but people really seem to like it. There was very, very, very positive comments on it. It's not necessarily my favorite, but the thing is, they're gonna play with these gray shorts.
Oh my god!
Why?
I was just about to say that. Stop trying to make gray shorts happen. Oh,
so gray socks with that white and blue
for the
makes
love
no
of
sense.
God, it's so
I hope
ugly.
it's not that.
It's so ugly.
Yeah,
no. If you put it with black shorts, I think it would look quite sharp.
Yeah, or all white maybe. Yeah, but black would be amazing. Yeah.
Black would be the best. Yeah, and like I do understand, there are uniform codes that they have to respect, depending on what the opposition, like the home team, is wearing, right?
Yeah.
So I do understand that they have some things that they can't be super flexible about, but if you can play it with black, wear it with black shorts. Wear it with freaking black shorts, guys.
Well, they have them, right?
Exactly. No excuses.
Yeah. So
and the Toronto kit.
Oh,
I do not like it.
I hate horrible.
It's heinous. Like, I'm not even saying it because it's Toronto.
Nothing to do.
I didn't realize that it was the Toronto kit. I saw it in passing in another tweet, and I was like, oh my god, that sucks.
No, it's not good.
It's kind of like San Jose put out their away kit this year, and it's just plain white, basically.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's weird little details that I'm not aware of, and I was like, God, that sucks. After seeing all the other away kits, and I feel the exact same about this Toronto one. You put this out, and I'm like, that could be any old club.
But I don't get it. How you can be sitting in the office with the marketing team or whatever, and just say, "Oh, this is exactly what we need for this year.
This represents our club perfectly."
This is ours,
Yeah,
I don't get it, but it's maybe why I'm not in these spheres of decision.
I feel like someone might have phoned it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So with that being said, that does. Oh yeah, and actually, Chan made a really good point. LAFC's kit is really cool this year with it's their 5th anniversary students, kind of got all the V's put into it, and the Galaxy kit as well is really sharp. Like especially around like the neckband.
Yeah.
And the cuffs, the collar. That's the word I was going for. The collar.
Yeah. No, they're nice. They're very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, I agree. But Portland's kit is the winner for me this year. Portland's kit is phenomenal.
Portland have always had some serious swag about their team. Serious swag, and they always bring it. So
yeah, and the Portland Thorns kits are just as equally awesome. So whoever they've got in their office, like, can we please poach them?
There's something about the West Side in the States. They have it.
Their
swag wise, style wise, it's always good. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that wraps it up for social media this week. So Sam, will I throw it back to you because I think we're gonna play a game.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna play. Who said this? Do you want to put that good old?
I will for sure. Yep.
Of our friend Cantona before we start.
Obviously.
When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. It gets me every time.
It's okay. So, for those who are not used to this game, we threw out a quote that a player, a coach, anyone said, and we give choices and we try to find who it is. That's why we put out Cantona's famous quote about the trawlers as an intro. So because we usually do it 3 and we have a competition between Addy and Eve, or me and Addy, whatever, we're just gonna throw it back and forth even. So I'll start with the first quote, and it was after a game. A pundit asked a player why there is always controversy surrounding him. There was an incident in that game in which he had won a penalty, and the journalist asked him why controversy always seems to follow him. The player answered, "I don't know. Maybe I'm too good." Was it Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, or Neymar?
I was going to say Mario Balotelli because he did that "why always me" thing.
Yeah.
Controversy. I'll say Neymar.
No, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. After a FA Cup game against Middlesbrough, he had won a penalty and there was some mad controversy at that time. Ronaldo was accused a lot of diving, which was something that was very uncommon in England in these years. And so the pundit obviously really tried to, almost to make him say that he had dove, but he never said it. And so he kind of turned it into a joke and say, maybe I'm just too good and people I'm getting on the people's nerves. So it was Cristiano Ronaldo.
Excellent. Alrighty. I've got one for you.
Yes.
I entered AC Milan's locker room at 17. Ronaldo, not the same Ronaldo, gave me a Playboy magazine and said, be in my group or in Kakaz, the religious one. Is the player Dida, Emerson, or Pato?
It's Pato.
Very good.
Yes.
How did you know?
I heard that, but I wasn't sure, but I knew it wasn't Emerson or Dida.
No.
So I say it has to be Pato. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw our friend from Orlando who loves Pato from the Orlando Dance podcast. He retweeted something about this recently, and I think that's where I remember.
Oh, and you know what? Maybe that's what
Antonio
sparked
Cruz,
it into my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he loves Pato. He's always, and he's so happy that he, I think he resigned or he's staying
back.
in. Yeah, so he was ecstatic about it. So that's where I found it.
Excellent.
Next up, when I score, I don't celebrate. It's my job. Does a postman celebrate when he delivers post? Was it Mario Balotelli, Wayne Rooney, or Thierry Henry?
This one is, in fact, Super Mario, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Good. Yes. Which is funny because he does celebrate. Because remember he did the selfie celebration in his own special way, I guess. Yeah.
But my favorite celebration ever of Balotelli is when he scored at the Euros against, I think it was Germany, and he took his shirt off and he just flexed as hard as he could, and they memed it all over, even before memes were a thing, right? And he was all over the place. So yeah, it was Super Mario. Yeah. No, you're right. That one I had heard somewhere, read somewhere, or whatever. Anyway, I digress. Alrighty. My turn. Okay. Football was my only hope in life. I wasn't too good at school. To give you an idea, I managed to fail an art class where my uncle was the teacher. Was the player Arthur, Richarlison, or Danilo? Danilo. No.
Richarlison.
Oh, it was Richarlison, really? Oh,
yeah.
Richarlison has a very, very interesting story from the favelas in Brazil to the Premier League. I followed. Richarlison, he caught my eye when he was at Watford, when he just arrived in the Premier League. He had such a special style, and I started reading on him, and he had really a crazy life until he got to the Premier League. But this I didn't know, though. So
yeah. So apparently part of his struggles growing up were also academic. And not even his uncle would cut him a break. Woof. Well, I'm glad I finally managed to stump you once.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. But I almost said Richarlison. I said I read so much on him. I would have seen it somewhere, but I kind of missed it. So that's cool. You got me.
I think when he very first came to the Premier League, maybe he said it. It was early in his Premier League time, I think.
Can be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Out.
It was really cool. Thank you so much, Yves. It was really fun again every week to talk soccer with you, and as usual. Big thank you to everyone who listened live, and to David from, let me just get it back. I want to say it well. Los Guerreros Más Santos podcast. He had a very, very cool interview with us at the start of the episode. And I mean, all the best for Montreal going into this crucial game at the Olympic Stadium. I hope we're gonna be a lot, because I'm gonna be there. Eve, you're gonna be there, I'm sure. Of course. So I hope that in 7 days' time on Sunday we will be talking about another Montreal win on the next episode of The Ball Is Round.